Okay, so welcome to GTC Insiders. This is where we connect you with the people really kind of influencing the industry. And there is not an organization that's done more in the industry than the GSMA. And I'm delighted today to say that we're joined by Julia, who's going to give us a background on some of the things important at the moment, but also talk to us a bit about kind of what's going on. So, Julia, if you'd like to start just by introducing yourself and a bit of background, would be great.
Yeah, sure. So lovely to be here, James. Thank you very much for inviting me. So my name is Julia Gullstrand. I am the head of roaming and interconnection at GSMA, and I've been there since 2000, so I've been there quite some time. Previously, I was working at One to One, which is now known as EEBT in the UK, in a similar role actually, although I started off in the billing, retail billing area. And then I was involved in a project related to finding a new billing system, and then I moved into roaming. And roaming for One to One in those days was an 1800 network, so not there weren't a lot of roaming partners in the world to get to, but that was how I learned got my start. And then while I was there, I started going to what was then called Barge. So it was like what was before the Wholesale Agreements and Solutions Group that I'm responsible for at GSMA. So and during my attendance at Barge, I actually became the deputy chair before moving to GSMA. So I had a bit of experience in what goes on at GSMA before actually joining the group. But one of the interesting things I think for your members may be that when I was at One to One, we were regulated to implement mobile number portability. And as part of that work, we decided, well, we're going to have to interconnect with each other. Oh, wow, let's send SMSs to each other. So we started the first agreement template between us was for the mobile number portability as well as SMS. And that template is what was then adopted by GSMA for the global SMS interworking template. So just a bit of history. So I was involved in that right from the start.
Very good. And how have you seen the kind of events you touched upon, Was there? How have you seen things evolve since the days of Barge?
Yeah, so things have changed quite a lot. The focus has changed quite a bit. So in the early days, it was very much about getting as many roaming partners as possible and getting the coverage. And then it became services became more important, and then we moved to 3G, etc. And in the past years, we've really seen it become a lot more competitive. So I sometimes say it was much more fun in the old days because we were all on the same wavelength, and now we're much more competitive in the industry. And so our focus within the WAS group, which has been going sort of like for the last 10 years, is more about, your discount agreements, your negotiations, how you're going to make your revenue for the following year. So there has been quite a big shift in that area in the past 10 years.
Amazing. And clearly, I still think it's the place to be if you want to see all of the global operators. There is no place like it. So maybe we could hone in a bit on messaging and about kind of future of messaging and what you and the GSMA think is going to happen beyond kind of SMS.
Yeah, sure. So, as you're probably aware, we did Rich Communication Suite RCS some time ago. We tried to push that. Hasn't been as successful when we first tried to launch it as we had hoped. We really thought it was going to take off a lot more in Europe. Has done a bit more in the US, but we're starting to see that coming back now, and it's becoming much more important. And I think the focus in the next couple of years is going to be to build on RCS, two-factor authentication, securing operators' data. Those sort of things are becoming much more important, and the operators are central to that. So it is making a difference there.
Yeah, we similar. RCS was the future kind of even when I was at Telefonica, almost 10 years ago, but it feels like now it's coming to the forefront again, which will be great.
Correct. Yeah.
And what do you think the role that GSMA will play in kind of regulating that side of things? Because things have been tough in messaging, right?
Yeah, it is. And GSMA is a difficult position. We're not a regulator ourselves. We're not a standards body,
Yeah.
but we do. We are there to support our members. And you may not be aware, but we have offices in several different continents,
Mhm.
and those offices are very policy regulatory focused. So we have a lot of influence in the regions where it's needed. So we wait for our operators to tell us.
Mm.
An issue will come up. We'll be asked to comment on something. We usually go to our members, ask them if they have a position they want us to bring to the regulator, and then we will support it in any way we can. We have many experienced policy people that work in the area, so we're happy to help them draft documentation, put arguments forward for them. And I think it's more. I mean, we've seen it probably be more used in Europe, but there are these offices in all the different continents to also support in that area.
Very good. It doesn't surprise me with all your global members.
Yeah, yes.
Perhaps we could touch upon kind of emerging technologies like 5G and IoT, and kind of what influence these are having now around almost the traditional technologies of roaming and messaging.
Yeah, sure. So IoT is an interesting one. Some operators have really embraced IoT as a way of getting different new revenue streams.
Mm.
But there are many operators that are still very reluctant. They see it's frightening, especially in the roaming case. And we've done a lot of work within WAS and the other groups to try and explain, educate on the benefits of IoT. We've had operators share their business cases and the success stories. So I think it's still going to go up. I think
Mm.
it is a way forward for many operators to have that little incremental revenue increase.
Mm.
And then, of course, 5G. I think 5G changes things quite a lot. I don't see 5G as being used in traditional roaming as such. I
Mm.
mean, okay, it's going to be beneficial. It'll be faster, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the real change for the industry will be with the private networks and using 5G and network slicing in different ways,
Mm.
to support events and it will change the way we do charging. 5G will be different. And I think also very important too is that quality will become more important. It will be seen as a big differentiator amongst roaming partners moving forward.
Fantastic. So it's exciting in terms of
Yeah,
these technologies.
exciting times. Yeah.
Um, so obviously, GTC, we expanded into mobile identity with our acquisition of Ufti earlier on this year. Can you talk a bit about the role you think mobile identity will play in telecommunications?
Yeah, I think digital identity is becoming so much more important, not just because it's being enforced in a lot of regulatory areas, but also I think it's being seen by the customer as being so much more important. It's always in the news, is my data safe? You hear about breaches all the time. And I think especially, with GSMA's work in Open Gateway as well, we've seen a lot of the focus in that area is fighting fraud, banks, securing customer data and assets and things. So I think it is going to be hugely important for everyone. And I think customers are not going to be satisfied with how it was before. They're going to want to know more about what's happening and what to have a say. So I think things like this two-factor authentication or securing more secure messaging is going to be much more important moving forward.
So that probably covers most of the business questions, but we always try and one, cover a couple of areas to get to know you better, but also I think it would be wrong of us not to put a plug in for the next WAS event.
Okay, yeah.
So perhaps
Yeah.
you could just tell our customers and obviously people watching a bit about WAS, the next one, and what to expect.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, of course. So, what the next WAS 20 is taking place in Bali at the end of September. Hopefully, it won't be too hot for everyone. We have an exciting agenda planned, and we're doing something a bit different this time. We're inviting some students from the local university to come and participate. It's our way of trying to encourage more people to get excited about the industry, choose a role in the industry. So it's something that we're going to start doing more and more as we go to different regions. So that's one thing. So the first morning will be focused basically on them, although it will be open to everyone. I'm teaching them about GSMA, learning a bit more about what WAS does, some of the other groups, the hot topics in the world. On the Monday afternoon, we have the Billing and Charging Evolution workshop. As we're in Asia, we haven't been there for a while. We haven't talked to those operators, so good opportunity to bring them up to speed with what's happening with the new billing evolution. And then we have the two Tuesday, Wednesday will be our normal conference sessions covering, as usual, 5G, still important to everyone, but also with the new topic about innovation and what's next for roaming. eSIM will probably pop up again, which is a bit controversial but interesting. And then on the Thursday, the Asia office are going to be holding their own Open Gateway workshop. It'll be open to everyone, but it'll be focused on their experience in the industry. There's been a few market launches there. So, so exciting times ahead. Yeah.
Very good. So obviously with the summer, it feels like it never was going to come, but it feels like this weekend was okay. And then with Bali coming, it would be good to get your recommendation around any wines for us to think about.
Yeah, James, I've just spent a weekend in Champagne.
Oh, well, there you go.
So the cellar is stocked. I have a very big interest in wine. I've heard there's a great restaurant there where you can actually take your own wines. So maybe something that I'm going to try when I'm in Bali. And I'll let you know how it is.
Fantastic. And obviously we'll see you all there. And just on behalf of GTC, I'd like to say thank you, Julia, for sharing all the insights around the market and what's going on. Obviously, a background to GSMA, it feels like everyone knows the GSMA, but actually digging into it a bit is great, and a brilliant initiative around getting the school children involved in the next WAS. So thank you.
Thanks, James. Thank you.